tonight, this Thursday, trying to make a lasting connection with the American voter. The importance of a single speech for Al Gore. On the campaign money trail at the convention again.
You have to have a party at Giorgio Armani, or you
listen to me for a second. Just shut up for a second. The reason we have to do this is because we are in a competition.
How does Ralph Nader get attention for his presidential campaign? MasterCard certainly helps.
There are some things money can't buy.
There are some things money can't buy. MasterCard's filed suit against Mr. Nader and his organization.
And that explosion on the Russian sub was so great that seismic stations all over the world picked it up.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Reporting tonight from the Democratic National Convention in Los Angeles.
Good evening. It is time for the command performance, the ultimate speech. This is the one. How many ways have you heard Al Gore's speech defined today? In this giant political bubble tonight, there's more analysis per square inch of the speech, even before it's been given, than you can imagine. Or maybe you can imagine. But there is no denying its importance in terms of substance and presentation. The television age has made that so. We will, of course, televise Mr. Gore's speech live. ABC's Terry Moran, who has been covering Mr. Gore on the road, is tonight over there in the Tennessee delegation. Terry.
Peter, Gore's aides say that the vice president has two main goals tonight. First, tell people who he is beyond the trappings of the office and the camouflage of politics. And second, lay out a clear and specific set of policies that he will run on.
It's an approach that runs the risk of boring viewers, but Al Gore is convinced voters want to hear specifics, as he told reporters yesterday aboard Air Force Two.
I hope that those who watch and listen will feel afterwards that they have a clear idea of exactly what I'm proposing to do.
In the speech, Gore will try to weave his personal story, his service in Vietnam, his record in Congress, his family life, into his agenda, trying to show how his values and life experiences have shaped his policy proposals.
Hi, Mother. I'm sorry for being late.
This film, produced by the Democratic National Committee, is designed to buttress tonight's biographical message. But the burden tonight is squarely on the vice president. By all accounts, Gore, a former reporter and author in his own right, has written much of the speech himself, working on it for long stretches while on vacation in North Carolina during the Republican convention, and revising it with aides. In the past, he has written other major speeches, some very successfully, such as his eulogy for his father in 1998, a speech many consider to be his best.
It's better to be hated for what you are than to be loved for what you are not.
But Gore's past efforts to soften his image have sometimes backfired with many voters, as at the 1996 convention when he invoked the death of his sister from lung cancer.
Her breathing became labored.
In a moment many found manipulative.
And then she breathed her last breath.
Al Gore has always been the kind of politician who's been marked by a contrast between his formal public persona and his more easygoing private personality. Perhaps his biggest challenge tonight is to break down that barrier. Peter?
Thanks, Terry. Terry will be with us for our live coverage tonight to talk about Mr. Gore. Now to that question of personality. In our latest poll before the convention, 60% of people said that they believe George Bush has an appealing personality. 45% said Mr. Gore was appealing from a personal point of view. That is part of tonight's challenge. ABC's John Cochran is on the convention floor, I think, in New Jersey. John.
Peter, being liked is more important in some races than in others. And in this race, it is very important.
Times are good for most people, which means they are not looking to the next president to solve any major problems.
There's no issue that's overwhelming. People are worrying about whether they like the guy or not.
It was very different during the Great Depression.
You people must have faith.
Americans elected Franklin Roosevelt not because they liked him, but because they believed he could fix things. In the 1960 election, John Kennedy won because he convinced voters that the Republicans had allowed the Russians to take the lead in technology. Tonight, at a time when the country does not think much is broken, Al Gore is going to tell us how he would fix it anyway. Tad Devine is a senior advisor to Gore.
But, this is not a popularity contest. There are real issues and real lives at stake.
But isn't it a popularity contest? People want to like their president.
Sure they do, and I think as they get to know Al Gore and his story, they're going to like him more and more. But we're not going to fight it out on the terms of, popularity.
But Gore's aides know that popularity means a lot more than they are willing to admit. And some delegates wonder if he has the magic that they feel Bill Clinton did.
When he talks, I feel it.
And Gore?
Gore talks, but I don't feel it in my body when he talks. There's a difference.
Would it be wrong for Al Gore to try to be a foot-stomping orator?
I don't know. It wouldn't be wrong. No, not at all. But, you know, Al Gore's Al Gore.
And Gore's aides are perfectly happy if some people have low expectations of him tonight. If he exceeds those expectations, they say, so much the better, Peter.
Thank you, John. Point well made. On this very day that Al Gore tries to define himself, the scandal that helps define Bill Clinton has been forced back into the public debate about his legacy. We learned today that the independent counsel Robert Ray, who took over from Kenneth Starr, has summoned a new grand jury to hear evidence against the presidents in the matter of Monica Lewinsky. The grand jury raises the possibility of criminal charges. It is exactly 2 years since the president testified on videotape to the original grand jury. Here's ABC's Linda Douglas.
The timing of the leak stunned the Gore campaign. Officials believe it is a dirty trick hatched by aides to President Clinton's nemesis, former independent counsel Kenneth Starr.
Americans are going to have serious questions about the timing of today's leak. People are wise by now to these Ken Starr-like tactics.
Legal sources say the new grand jury was impaneled more than a month ago. Sources say the new independent counsel, Robert Ray, is building a criminal case against President Clinton on charges of lying and obstructing justice in the Monica Lewinsky case. Once again, the question is, did he lie under oath when asked whether he had sex with Lewinsky?
It is now my task as a prosecutor with a very limited and narrow focus to determine again whether crimes have been committed and whether in the appropriate exercise of discretion it is appropriate to bring charges.
Legal analysts say Ray's decision to move forward with a grand jury means that he is serious.
Mostly it means that Robert Ray may really indict Bill Clinton and try to throw him in jail.
The president was impeached, tried, and acquitted by the Senate on the same charges. It is not clear if new evidence has emerged, although investigators have been poring through newly unearthed White House emails, which were not examined in the first investigation. The criminal investigation will unfold in the midst of the presidential campaign. Gore campaign officials now fear they may never be able to make the president's scandals go away. Linda Douglas, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A little later in the program, we'll come back to the convention and go back on the money trail. The question of speaking out against special interests and taking their money anyway.
If we didn't do this, we would be outraised by the Republicans 10, 20 to 1. We are not going to tie our hands behind our back. This is a fight, and we will fight by the rules, but we're the party that wants to change it.
But when we come back from a slightly quieter place, the submarine disaster in Russia and the anger that the government was so hesitant to ask for help.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Pepsi AC.
Hey, Bill Duffy, what's on your plate today?
Grandpa, look who's here. We've got them all day.
Grandpa, can I have a pickle?
Even on days like this, even after the heartburn strikes, it's not too late for Pepsi AC, because Pepsi AC controls acid before, during, or even after the start of heartburn.
Now they're having a great time.
No matter what's on your plate, today should be heartburn-free with Pepsi AC.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
Got yourself into too much credit card debt? Why not point and click your way out of debt with a second mortgage from Ditech.com? Whether you have equity or no equity, good credit or not so good credit, Ditech has a second mortgage with absolutely no closing costs to help you lower your monthly payments now. So point and click your way out of high-interest, non-tax deductible credit card debt at Ditech.com or call us at 1-800-71-FIX.
Now we're going to go overseas. In the Barents Sea tonight, the attempts by the Russians to rescue their sailors from their sunken submarine are becoming seen as increasingly hopeless. A senior Russian official says the submarine has a terrifying hole on its starboard side. ABC News has learned that the accident which sank the submarine was an explosion of such force that it was equal to 2 tons of TNT, and that seismic stations around the world measured the explosion at 3.47 on the Richter scale. In Russia tonight, there is a rising tide of resentment against the government. It appears that many Russians believe that when it comes to trying to save its 118 submariners, the government has been too slow and too reluctant to ask for outside help. ABC's Richard Gisbert reports from the port city of Murmansk.
Tonight, Russian government television showed pictures of the rescue effort and reported that when the first rescue party reached the sub, it tapped out a message. Help is here. Hold on. There was a reply from inside. We understand. Then another. SOS. The sailors' families arriving at the Murmansk station want answers. My husband is on board, dying, this woman says, and no one in this country is capable of saving him. I am angry because he gave everything to this country. The relatives must watch what they say because the military has ordered them not to talk. And at times, the information clampdown around Murmansk has been heavy-handed.
It's difficult enough for the people of this port city to imagine the fate of the submarine crew. But it's harder still if you believe, as many here in Murmansk do, that their leaders chose not to do everything in their power to save those lives.
The British say this specially equipped sub could have been on the scene by now, but the Russians did not give permission until yesterday. We're sorry, this man says, that our government took so long to trust foreign countries, the ones who could help our boys. Passengers boarding this ship today said the Kremlin had 2 reasons to refuse foreign help. It had both military secrets and Russian prestige to protect. The thinking was, Russia should do it itself, he says, and human lives come second. In Russia, the price of a human life is very, very low. He was talking about the lives of these sailors, pictured last year, when the Kursk was still the pride of the Russian submarine fleet. Richard Gisbert, ABC News, Murmansk.
Here in the U.S. today, 2 companies trying to explain to their consumers. United Airlines apologized to its most frequent flyers because they have had to endure so many delays. Frequent flyers make up only 9% of the passengers on United, but they account for 46% of its business. The airline is going to let all of its stranded passengers reschedule flights without paying a service charge. And doctors across the country being warned not to give women a popular form of birth control that may, in one case, not work. The makers of Norplant say that some shipments of that drug may have lost or may lose their effectiveness before the expiration date. When we come back, the Democrats again, are they living up to their rhetoric about big business and fundraising?
I'll trade you this salad for your pudding. Nope. This newspaper for that comic. Trade you mitts. No. I'll trade you my 1998 Gateway PC for a brand new Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Pentium 3 processor plus training.
Deal. Buy a Gateway Essential PC with the YourWare program and trade it in toward the purchase of a new one after 2 years. Call us or visit one of our 300 stores.
I'll throw in my little sister for a scanner.
People are living longer than ever, and why shouldn't you? This new Alpo has chicory. It works on the bacteria in your system, but you just like how good it tastes.
A great dog deserves a long life. A great dog deserves Alpo from Friskies.
The forces of nature are waging a war, and the target is your deck. But Thompson's will stop them, because when others fail, Thompson succeeds, protecting your deck like no other, guaranteed. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
What will you do with 24-hour relief from osteoarthritis pain? What will you do with 24-hour relief from its stiffness? What will you do with 24-hour relief from the inflammation? Discover Celebrex, the #1 selling prescription arthritis medicine. Celebrex should not be taken if you've had aspirin-sensitive asthma or allergic reactions to aspirin or other arthritis medicines or certain sulfa drugs called sulfonamides. In rare cases, serious stomach problems such as bleeding can occur without warning. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems. This information cannot replace your doctor's advice. Only your doctor can assess the benefits and risks to decide if Celebrex is right for you. Talk to your healthcare professional and call 1-888-CELEBREX. What will you do the day you discover Celebrex?
Tonight, Al Gore makes the most important speech of his life. And tomorrow, Good Morning America's got the scorecard. Live reaction and continuing convention coverage tomorrow.
For our final report on the campaign money trail this week, saying one thing and doing another. The Democrats, you may have heard, have been talking all week at this convention about putting an end to the uncontrolled flow of big money into politics. Now take a look at this list. The National Rifle Association, the tobacco companies, Philip Morris, Brown and Williamson, the oil giants, Chevron and Occidental, the pharmaceutical giants, Bristol-Myers, Squibb and Merck, and the others. And they all have one thing in common. They've all been attacked by the Democrats this week, and they're all sponsoring Democratic functions here. Once again, ABC's Brian Ross.
With absolutely no sense of shame, the Democrats put on a display of excess and extravagance here this week that easily rivaled anything the Republicans did in Philadelphia, taking every last dollar of corporate money they could find to pay for it.
This is just an orgy. There is no shame, there is no outrage, and there are no sanctions and no penalties.
The man in the white jester suit on the Mardi Gras float, tights and all, is the powerful United States Senator John Breaux of Louisiana. Breaux collected more than $400,000 from corporations over whom he has a lot to say in Congress, including tobacco, liquor, telephone, and energy companies, to pay for what was the party of the week on the back lot of the Paramount Studios.
King Herschel Abbott.
Senator Breaux named one of the biggest contributors as the king of the party, a top executive of Bell South, who chose a teal-blue feathered outfit for the evening. Bell South has a lot at stake before the senator's committees, including Commerce and Finance.
You got a great company.
The leader of the Democrats in the Senate, Tom Daschle, busy glad-handing corporate executives at the party, gave an answer we heard all week.
Why do you think they do it? Well, I think they do it because they want to participate in democracy.
But the fact is, it's only because Congress suspended its own ethics rules for the conventions that such undeclared corporate spending on members of Congress is legal. At any other time, it would be illegal.
It's one of the little quiet, dirty little secrets about politics is that when it comes to conventions, there are no ethics laws, and some would say no ethics.
4 years ago at both party conventions, corporations, including Philip Morris, told us they would fully disclose what they were spending to lobby politicians on private yachts and at parties.
It will be filed and it will be public knowledge in due time.
4 years later, there has been no such filing, and there's no law requiring it, according to campaign finance analyst Kent Cooper.
That type of spending is not reported, and you're not going to see that in any type of federal report.
The Democrats, as well as the Republicans, seem to have concluded that whoever does the best job of catering to the rich and the big corporations will win. Spelled out to us in no uncertain terms at a private party for big donors at the Giorgio Armani store in Beverly Hills, hosted by the chairman of the Democratic Party, Ed Rendell.
We have to do this because that's the way the system is.
You have to do this?
Yeah, or else we lose.
You have to have a party at Giorgio Armani or you lose?
Listen to me for a second. Just shut up for a second. The reason we have to do this is because we are in a competition. But we're the party that wants to change this.
You have to burn the village to save it?
You have to win.
That's the chairman of the party. Brian Ross, ABC News, Los Angeles.
We've had some fallout from Brian's reporting this week. On Tuesday, he reported that Al Gore's campaign had a contractual relationship with a telemarketing firm controlled by a convicted felon. 24 hours later, the campaign and the Democrats severed their relationship with the company. When we come back, Ford and Firestone.
Okay.
Some nights, falling asleep is the most elusive thing on earth. No matter how hard you try, you can't capture it. Now, you can capture the sleep you need when you need it with Sonata. Like other sleep aids, you can take Sonata at bedtime. But Sonata is the first and only prescription sleep aid you can take later if you have at least 4 hours in bed before becoming active again. You'll fall asleep fast and still wake up naturally, ready to start your day. Until you know how you will react to Sonata, you should not drive or operate machinery. Common side effects are headache, dizziness, and drowsiness. Do not drink alcohol while taking Sonata. Patients who abuse prescription sleep aids may become dependent. Prescription sleep aids are most often taken for 7 to 10 days as needed. Your doctor will advise you about taking them longer. Ask your doctor about your sleep problem and how Sonata can help. Capture the sleep you need when you need it with Sonata.
I will never ask, what do you plan to do with your life?
I will never talk about the things you haven't accomplished.
I'll never bring up the time you came home smelling like that other dog.
I will never worry about where we're going.
As long as you roll down that window so I can pretend I'm flying.
No relationship is like the one with your dog. No dog food is like Purina One brand. And it's made with real meat. No corners cut, complete in every way. For the health and happiness of your dog. Purina One, how great relationships are fed.
Cold stuff kill you? Then try new Colgate Sensitive Maximum Strength. It's clinically proven to provide significantly more pain relief than Sensodyne, so you don't have to be afraid of anything. New Colgate Sensitive.
Look at all these laxatives. They all contain stimulants. That one says it may cause cramps. Only Philips is stimulant-free. Nothing's more effective, nothing safer.
So I've heard. Philips, safe, effective relief without harsh stimulants.
Have you seen the latest? One-a-day joint health with glucosamine, a unique blend designed to help you maintain flexibility. It's from One-a-day. And just what you need to feel your best.
On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 47 points to close at 11,055. On the NASDAQ, stocks were up 79.5 points, approximately. In Lubbock, Texas, a prominent surgeon has died in an accident after a tire broke apart on his Ford Explorer. Police say that the tire appears to be one of the millions recalled last week by Firestone. The Ford Motor Company and Firestone are scrambling as hard as they can to get these tires off the road. Here's ABC's Bob Woodruff.
It is a huge problem. 6.5 million tires recalled, not enough replacements to go around. Earlier this week, Firestone officials said they could finish this recall by spring of next year. But today, Ford, Firestone's largest customer, said that is too late.
Spring is not soon enough for anyone at Ford Motor Company or at Bridgestone Firestone.
To speed the recall, Ford is now considering pulling tires off new cars to replace the defective ones. And for drivers who have to wait for tires, the company may soon be providing free rental cars, most likely from Hertz, which is owned by Ford.
Today, under immense pressure to do more, Firestone announced it will allow customers to return the recalled tires to any tire store, and Firestone will pay.
Firestone estimates losses from the recall at more than $350 million. That does not include millions more from lawsuits and long-term damage to its reputation. Bob Woodruff, ABC News, Washington.
When we come back, Ralph Nader and MasterCard.
The world is a beautiful place, but not when your eyes feel dry, gritty, irritated. Protect them with Refresh brand eye drops. Refresh is no ordinary eye drop. First, Refresh relieves dryness. Then Refresh forms a lasting shield of protection that keeps irritation out and moisture in. So get relief and protection with the #1 brand recommended by eye doctors. Refresh. It relieves and protects. And protects and protects.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
It's allergy season, and for once, I'm not miserable. It's the Nasal Chrome. Unlike these, it can't make you drowsy. And unlike these, there's no possibility of nervousness. Maybe that's why allergists recommend Nasal Chrome most. Nasal Chrome. The best way to stop suffering is never to start.
Uniroyal tires with nail guard seal most tread punctures instantly, permanently, and repeatedly. Nail guard tires, only from Uniroyal.
For prescription strength pain relief without a prescription, take Extra Strength Bayer. It's as powerful on tough pain as prescription Tylenol with codeine. Bayer, powerful pain relief
and so much more.
As Democrats rally in L.A., America turns to ABC News. Tonight, the Vice President accepts his party's nomination for the presidency. Peter Jennings, Sam Donaldson, Cokie Roberts, ABC News, the Democratic Convention tonight.
Tomorrow, they're as tough as they get. They battle the seas and winds and haven't lost one life yet. The Rescuers on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings tomorrow.
Finally from us this evening, the credit card company and the political candidate. Now, you could be the best-known politician in the land and still have a hard time getting the public's attention. The search for a clever idea is never ending. Imagine that you're Ralph Nader, the consumer advocate running for president, trying to get attention. And then Nader's team thought of MasterCard. Imagine the possibilities. Here's ABC's John Martin.
Ralph Nader has always been unconventional, and so is his TV ad.
Campaign ads filled with half-truths. $10 million. Promises to special interest groups. Over $10 billion. Finding out the truth. Priceless.
Does the wording sound familiar?
Their first big league ball game. Priceless.
If you guessed that MasterCard, the credit card company whose commercials Nader is imitating, feels flattered, guess again.
It's our campaign, it's trademarked, and they should come up with a unique idea.
MasterCard should lighten up. They're taking their name Master too seriously.
MasterCard takes it seriously enough to sue for $5 million, calling it copyright infringement. The ad's creator calls it ironic.
It just defies belief. Ralph Nader doesn't even carry any credit cards.
Bill Hillsman has used humor before, helping Minnesota professor Paul Wellstone become a senator by lampooning his opponent as someone who was never around.
Then I tried his office. Is he here?
He is not here.
It's so unusual to find an ad that's humorous, that uses parody, that's a little bit subversive.
Subversive? Not for Nader, who won sympathy 34 years ago for standing up to General Motors when it sent a private detective after him.
It would be in the best interest of MasterCard to withdraw the suit. But, you know, corporations aren't smart that way.
For Nader, this episode is worthy of an ad. The publicity he's getting, priceless. John Martin, ABC News, Washington.
That is our report on World News Tonight. Our 24-hour coverage of the Democratic Convention continues at abcnews.com with Sam Donaldson's webcast right after this one. We'll, of course, be back in prime time with the ABC News team to listen with you to this big speech that Al Gore is going to make to this convention, but much more importantly, to the country tonight. As we said, there's been all sorts of analysis and speculation about what it will be like and how he has to do. We hope that you will tune in for yourselves to find out. Don't forget Nightline as well. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening. Good night from Los Angeles.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Bill had